In the crowded alleys of Bangkok's slum district, life was chaos. The air was thick with smoke, the smell of wet concrete, and the constant hum of people hustling to survive. Here lived Krit, a 20-year-old man known for his temper. A slammed door, a barking dog, or even a street vendor's loud call could set him off. People avoided him. Even neighbours gave him a wide berth. Krit survived on odd jobs, his hands always dirty, his shoulders always tense. He had no family to soften him. Anger had become his closest companion. One humid afternoon, a sound pierced the usual city clamour. A baby's cry. It came from the small house next door, belonging to a young woman named Dao. She had just given birth a few months ago, and her daughter, a tiny, fragile thing, cried endlessly. Krit clenched his fists. Why won't that thing shut up? He slammed his door, but the cry followed him, weaving through the alley like a persistent shadow. Days passed. Krit's irritation turned to obsession. He would throw things toward the wall, separating him from Dao's home, curse under his breath, and pace the alley like a caged animal. Then one evening, the cry reached a breaking point. Frustrated and furious, Krit stormed out of his small room, ready to confront the source. But the house was quiet. He pushed open the door and froze. In the corner of the small living space lay the baby, all alone. Her mother was nowhere to be found. For a moment, anger surged. How dare someone leave this wailing creature here? But then, something unexpected happened. Krit's hands shook as he picked up the tiny girl. She squirmed, her cries muffled against his shoulder. He tried to put her down, but she wouldn't stop. That night, Krit slept beside her. His anger faded into exhaustion. When he awoke, her eyes were wide, staring at him. For the first time, he felt something unfamiliar: responsibility. The following days were a struggle. Krit had no idea how to care for a child. He searched for the mother, asking neighbours and wandering through the alleys. No one had seen her. No one cared. So Krit did what he had never done. He tried. He learned to feed her, bathe her, and calm her cries. He gave her a name, Dao, after the stars he had often looked at on sleepless nights. She became his light in the dim world of the slums. But everyone refused. No money, no space. She's too much trouble. With each rejection, Krit's resolve grew. If no one would care for her, he would. Years went by. Dao grew from a fragile infant into a bright, curious toddler. Krit, once feared for his anger, became her protector, her teacher, and her father in every sense. He would tell her stories as they ate their humble meals, stories of stars, of faraway places, and dreams bigger than the slum could contain. He taught her how to walk, to laugh, to speak, and with every step she took, Krit felt something in him shift, the anger, the resentment, the bitterness. All of it melted away. Neighbours started noticing the change. The boy they had feared was gone. In his place was a man who smiled, who helped, who cared, not just for Dao, but for the children in the alley, for the elderly who struggled with their carts, for anyone in need. Dao would run to him after school, clinging to his legs, shouting, "Papa Krit! Papa Krit!" And Krit would lift her into the air, laughing with genuine joy. Sometimes, late at night, Krit would sit on the small porch outside their home, holding Dao in his lap. He would whisper stories of her mother, imagining her somewhere safe, hoping she was well. Thank you, whoever you are, for leaving her with me. Because in a world that had hardened him, that had made him angry and bitter, Dao had softened him. She had taught him patience. She had taught him love. She had taught him to be a father. By the time Dao was 5, Crit's life had completely changed. He was no longer a boy lost in anger. He was a man of strength, compassion, and love. The slum still smelled of smoke and concrete, but it also smelled of cooking food, warm sunlight, and the laughter of a little girl who called him Papa. And every time Crit looked at Dao, he remembered that first night, the crying, the fear, the frustration. And he smiled. Because that cry had changed him. That tiny life had saved him. And in the alleys of Bangkok, among the noise, the struggle and the chaos, Crit had finally found peace.